for Carrier's Kalista support. He has been playing this. He has been looking for an opportunity to pull it out.
Oh my!
There it
in
is.
this series, really?
Yeah. He pulled out Caitlyn's support before.
He did.
He's
He
doing
definitely did. As, okay, Carrier support Draven. Carrier support Kalista. Not entirely sure which one it's going to be.
Wait.
Who?
No.
No, it's going to be Carrier.
It's got to be the Kalista support. As let's talk about the D+ comp first, because they make a lot of sense. It's very straightforward. You have a ton of prio in mid. You can then turn that into side lane pressure, or you leave it on island, and you can either get your Graves or your bot lane ahead, depending on the state. That well, ahead is not going to happen because they're facing Kalista Draven. So you're going to have to cover. Showmaker and Canyon are going to both try and make sure that they keep priority in their own lanes / jungle, and then cover for the bot lane, which should be a complete brawl. I don't know what type of brawl.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be very good for Zeri and Lulu.
I don't think so either. I think, like, we've seen what happens when T1 picks 280 carries in the bottom lane, and it's not as great for the opposition. This time, they don't horrendously outrange their opposition, right? It's not the same as what we saw with, what was it, Varus, Caitlyn in that bottom lane in the last time that we saw it employed. You know, Varus Ashe is, of course, the most popular. This, a slightly more eclectic version, as Canyon is at least on a backup carry this time around. But it's Faker's Kassadin, it's Gumayusi's Draven, and it's Carrier's Kalista support. Plus, it's Zeus' Jace. Oh my goodness. Let's get onto the Rift and see what this is like. T1 yelling at the top of their lungs as we hop onto the Rift for game number 3. Lol Park, really, it's still echoing with those fan chants, as you never really hear volume like that unless it's T1 playing. As Gumayusi, here's Draven, this time going to be throwing chainsaws. It's a little bit frightening.
You know what I want to talk about, Atlas?
What do you want to? You want to talk about the Kalista? All right.
No, I was talking about an anime that I've been watching that involves chainsaws, but I'll let it go as we have to talk about the Kalista. I feel like you should have known. I've really been bugging you about that one for a while now.
You have, but I try to put it out of my mind to the best of my ability.
I just want you to have a good time. As obviously, as we have seen before with what T1 was able to do with the Caitlyn support, the idea behind this is that the dueling potential of the Draven and the Kalista makes it basically impossible for Khaled and Deft to walk up. So Owner is going to path from the top side of the map towards the bot side, and then hopefully for him be able to cover what, or rather Canyon is going to look to cover, as Owner is going to path towards bot side to try and look for aggressive plays on Deft and Kellen.
Well, Carrier just diving towards Kellen here, as the axes are now going to start swinging forward, and yeah, this is an example of a real problematic situation. Oh, the Draven's not able to do it! Canyon, he knew he was there. Gumayusi knew he was dead, wanted to take Deft with him, and he's not going to be so lucky. So, what happens, Chronicler, when this lane falls behind?
Well, what do you mean? I'm confused.
Yeah.
You have Draven and Kalista.
Oh, so the same thing continues to happen?
So you don't fall behind.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay. But what if...
Well, what if you do, and your wave state is very rough? At least Carrier gets the crash here, which is really kind of a saving grace. Deft gets the kill, but is still stuck on level 1, and does have to back as well. So we're going to give it a little bit of time and then check back in. And Canyon obviously did have to take a lot of a beating in terms of his jungle experience, although with the prio that he has in mid, he actually will be able to, yes, his win rate on the champion is absurd. The reason why he hasn't played more games on it is just because when Graves was meta, Canyon didn't really get to play.
He wasn't allowed to, yeah.
And another great example here for Gumayusi's Draven, but I just love the read from Canyon there. Like, obviously, as Owner does spot him out, very important there. So Faker would not be able to help his jungler at all. Identifying that this bot lane is going to look for early plays. Canyon just immediately going similar to what we saw Bo do, very early level 2 gank on Graves, and yeah, you're just gonna get bullied out of your jungle now because Gumayusi and Keria not in the position that ideally you'd want to be in at this point in the game. Now, fortunately for T1, as much as I think the bot lane situation stings, it's not all disaster because you do have an incredibly resilient mid laner, or resilient in terms of scaling and winning you the game later on. But I gotta say, pretty much a dream scenario here. Canyon literally just takes red buff and runs down bot.
Yeah, and you can see Gumayusi pretty happy to stack up these axes and make this happen, but seeing Canyon there, he was like not going to be able to do it, and I believe that was the heal right at the last second from Deft to make that one happen. Still, going to have a lot of power in this lane, and as you can see, Gumayusi and Keria are continuing to push up, especially with Canyon now on the top side of the map. He's getting as much farm as he can, and Canyon will have more farm than Oner throughout this game, eventually, because we know what happens when he gets this champion. He does not stop destroying jungle camps forever. He is very, very adept at it.
The big winner on the map for T1 is Zeus, because with Canyon's positioning being known, he really gets to play very, very far forward. And for Kana, you know, there's not that much that he can do. He, by all accounts, should not be receiving a ton of help from his jungle. His main goal is just make sure that you bleed as little as possible so that the rest of the map can be covered. Well, obviously, Canyon already did a great job of that, which in turn is going to make Kana's job a lot easier. And Showmaker, another example, is going to be able to continuously play with Cryo here as Oner and make himself known.
Yeah, not going to get the flash out of Showmaker just yet. Faker, no Rift Walk available. Permafrost does come in. Showmaker desperately doesn't want to flash, and he doesn't. He's going to be able to go back home. But now, that health bar very low, doesn't have teleport. So was it worth it, I guess, is kind of the question that he's going to be asking. As here, towards this bottom side, Glitter Lancers flying forward. Deft trying his very best and is actually ahead in CS at this moment in time. Oner's coming down though, and you can see the pressure starting to mount. Canyon already lying in wait. It's a great little whimsy onto Gumayusi, who goes down yet again. Oner now trying to tidy it up, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough. It's the flash forward from Deft. He is going to go down, and now Faker with Rift Walk in hand. He sees that blue buff, and he really wants it. He'll pick it up as well. Make it a triple kill for the king of the mid lane. T1, that is exactly what they needed.
And you get the punish on Draven as a D+ Kia, but I'm gonna tell you, it comes with a costly price. And it's not a price that I think you're gonna be very happy to pay, because killing Guma is amazing, right? You deny him the stacks, you put this Draven further behind, and by him not being able to farm up and then maybe get a mid-game cash-in, you are certain that this Draven is going to have a really tough game as we continue, right? Especially into champions like the Graves, like Kana on this Ornn. But Faker picking up a triple there changes so much. It accelerates his Rod of Ages. It allows him to play with so much more aggression in this mid lane as well. Allows him to actually trade with Showmaker. And oh boy, I can't wait to see what this game has in store. I'm just like, I'm getting giddy.
Oh, it's definitely going to show us some more than this. That is absolutely true, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what that is going to be. We have to remember, what was it, 26 minutes on the Rod of Ages level 10 for Fiesta? I have a feeling and the level 16 to be picked up.
The big thing here is that Showmaker, just off of a base, walks back towards mid lane, right? So he's either unable or unaware, can't follow. Faker flashing over the initial wall as well to ensure that he can actually get the damage up from his initial Rift Walk. Then takes down Canyon, and if Ryze is able to join this fight, then maybe you can get the shutdown. You can definitely take down Carry at the very least. But not going to be the case. Showmaker also didn't have the teleport available. Also, some credits over to Oner there earlier on, right? Because of the gank that he got off on mid. That was what put Showmaker in a more awkward position, which freed up Faker. And
oh well, bit of a battle here towards the bottom side as the ult through from the Zeri does get knocked up, as now Gumayusi is just fighting him. Can he actually win it? Oh! Gumayusi knocks it down. It's a double kill. And this is what we expected to be the entire lane for T1. It just happened a bit late.
Sitting on double serrated Dirk. A power spike that, unfortunately, a lot of people are not going to be able to contest with Kenyon looking for a cross map desperately, but not going to get anything. Zeus not going to get caught this time around. Owner also in the general vicinity. And things are starting to look very dire here for D plus Kia, because the power of an all-in, from an all-in of this lane is still immeasurable, right? They both think 6, Callan doesn't have the wild growth available, and they immediately, fully pull the trigger. Callan can't support deft.
The flash from Gumayushi as well to avoid the Q, get off the whirling death. Oh my goodness.
And it doesn't mean that all of a sudden Draven is fully back in the game, but the beauty of the composition that T1 has is Draven doesn't really need to be, right? And if he gets 1 or 2 more kills, he farms some stacks, then you're still fine. But Guma can play supportive Draven for all he cares in this game, because you have a Jace, who's getting very far out on the top side of the map, unmatched, Chair starting to stack now as well. And you have perhaps the most iconic late game champion in the game in Kassadin, who is very, very accelerated in this game. And D plus Kia have a ton of scaling themselves as well. They have the ornaments. They have Zeri with a Lulu on top of it. Ryze is in a great state at the moment, can hard carry late game teamfights. Kenyon is on the Graves, a force to be reckoned with. But right now you can sense that D plus Kia is flustered. No one is answering this bot side of the map, right? Gumayushi is just freely farming. T1 is answering, and sure, you might get some plates, but not getting a lot more out of this.
Oh, and even the Whirling Death coming through to clear out the minions. Yeah, that is not going to be it. They did want to drop the Rift Herald, you could imagine, but T1 were ready and waiting. Weren't going to get enough value off that one. 2 plates being picked up, so that Rift Herald nullified in its entirety. Cannon does get there towards the Cannon minion, so that is definitely good news for him. And you were talking about scaling, like the quintessential scaling champion. Defensively, that's on. So D plus Kia do have some scaling, but like when it's in comparison to a Kassadin, it just doesn't really hold water.
It's not just Kassadin. It's Kassadin who got so far. I don't know, so far accelerated. I don't know when he's going to actually hit his Rod of Ages slash Zeref spike, but even if he's not level 16, like at that point, still going to be a force to be reckoned with. Also want to highlight again, Keria, the Umbral Glaive is such an impressive item when you have a lane like the one that T1 has here in bot lane, because Deft and Keria, or Callan rather, can't contest the wave, right? So you have to give way, and then you also are unable to contest any of the vision, because Keria with this Umbral Glaive is going to deny so much of what you're going to be able to see. And I want to remind everyone is, hold up.
Yep, Deft is going to skate in. Keria taking so much damage, he's just dead. The Ornhorn was there just to celebrate. I think it was, I think that it was just a song that time around.
Ooh, good TP here. I was about to say, Kana is going to make his way towards the mid lane as well, so Faker is going to get at the very least a play, but this is a cannon wave, so hopefully Kana will be able to at least get a little bit here as, ooh, might be even a second play for Faker. Wave is going to get caught eventually as Owner going to interrupt. And with the TP towards top side, at the very least, Showmaker prevents Zeus from completely taking over, but even with this play working, it's still T1 that is favored, right? Because Showmaker was forced to teleport. Zeus still got a lot done. Faker still shoved the mid-wave into the turret and was able to pick himself up a plate. So even with Keria taken down, doesn't end up mattering too much. As I want to remind everyone at home that Keria is a trained professional, and in no way, shape, or form should you be playing support Kalista if you are not Keria. Well, don't do it.
Canyon thinking about a bit of a drive-by, but Faker was in the area, and you do not want to mess with that. That is going to be a solo Infernal being taken. Ocean Soul this game. And that could also be a worry, because that sounds like regen for a mana bar of a Kassadin. And that's frightening. But this was really nicely done.
Yeah, very straightforward. Good rotation from Kana there. Ideally, I think you were looking for multiple people. And looks like overall, D+ still maintaining the fight, and it's not really about the goal at this point in time, right? Because as mentioned, as soon as Ornn starts to hit the later levels, it's more going to be about who plays out and how they, or who plays out what, how they play it out, as Guma picking themselves up the shield bow now. But
oh, that was a bit sad. I don't want that cannon was possibly takeable. Does not happen. Still, just over 1,000 gold the lead for T1. But this game has really gone to some strange territory with where the
really has.
And the triple kill onto this Kassadin, that's exactly what D+ Kia are terrified about, right?
So, yeah, because ideally in this composition, if this is say a Nautilus, for example, right? If you front-to-back teamfight with an Ornn, you can actually put Draven in an awkward position. If you have a good Ornn ultimate, the Draven can get kind of targeted down. Maybe Showmaker can find a flank. Maybe Canyon can land a Q and blow him up before the fight is well truly begun. But because of Kalista, it actually is really hard to take down Guma by like single-handedly targeting him. And that's not even talking about all the other issues that are available for T1. Their neutral, I think, is still pretty good because they have a Kassadin, or will have later, rather, a Kassadin in the side lane. They have a decent poke with Zeus. They have hard engage if they are looking for it with the Sejuani. So then a lot is going to come down to how well D+ Kia is going to be able to set up the 5v5s, because in a split pushing situation, I just don't see them being able to match T1 as pressure around bot here.
Yep, Ona going to turn up. Extendo Beam looking to clear out the wave as best as possible. Canyon's going to move in. Shield's a little bit late, but it looks like D+ Kia are going to be able to hold on to this one for now. As soon as Faker shows himself, I get a bit scared, you know? Because there is just no way that D+ Kia can handle this Kassadin right now. 4 stacks now on the Rod of Ages. And look, like, the amount of acceleration is pretty evident in the fact that there's just a catalyst here on Showmaker.
Meanwhile, Zeus has the most farm. Has not been involved in anything, FYI. Has not been a part of this game, but he's loving it.
Epitomizing top lane right now.
You know, 163 farm at 15.5 minutes. Got his Eclipse, scaling nicely towards his tier. He's just having a great time. Doesn't really need to join anyone else. And once he does, that's when I think a lot of the issues for D+ are going to arrive, because again, they are going to have to be the one to pull the trigger. They are a shorter range composition, and if you don't do that correctly, then you're going to get into some real issues. And trying to keep Deft safe from Faker's Fret, now hit level 11, going to be a toughie as well.
Yeah, I think we might need to see that Wits End variation of the Seri like we saw yesterday. Which I quite enjoy, as Canyon will spot that Shirley is being taken. T1 not wanting to overpress on this one. Minion Wave on the top side being taken down here by Faker, as pretty impatient. Shirley will finally turn herself towards D+ Kia. Now 5 members stacked up. Zeus, like you were talking about, those shock blasts. They connect onto Showmaker as Faker looking for that flank angle. Canyon going to be the target now. Glacial Prison does come in. The rest of the buttons not quite being hit. Good knock up on a Gumayusi, but it doesn't really matter as Faker diving on in. He's very, very low as Def gets over that wall. The shield bow helping him out. Now gonna have to back away because these shock blasts, man, possible to deal with. So they get a Herald, but at what cost? Well, this outer turret might be the first one. Yeah, teleport to come in to keep this one alive. And yep, the siege, like you were saying, Chronicler, it's just disgusting.
Well, we haven't even talked about it, but while this is happening, there's also in 30 seconds a Drake that is going to be a soul point spawning here for T1, right? And gotta say, Atlas, right now for D+, we see the power that the composition does have in these fights, but you also see that if they meander for a little bit too long, if they hold off on actually pulling the trigger here, they will take a lot of poke. This time around, I don't think it's too bad, but Faker doesn't do that much yet, right? Like Faker there is level 11. If he's 16, Deft is just out of the fight, if not dead.
Yep.
Add a shock blast or 2 to it, and everything becomes a possible target. And for D+, it might feel like you really have to fight this, but your Ornn is not in a great space yet. Might be looking for a steal instead. Faker on the flank here.
Yep, Zeus looking to try and defend this turret. Yeah. And it looks like they'll be able to not defend the turret, but still take this dragon. So Soul Point now available for T1. Shirley gets her eye poked. That is going to be it. So win conditions starting to come alive here for T1 in this Ocean Soul, and then the ensuing Elder will be what their eyes are going to be on. Showmaker moving back towards this top side, and D+ here do need to start trying to open up this map. Taking turrets has been difficult from, honestly, like, this game. Sorry, the last game until now. They haven't been able to take these standing objectives very well at all.
Seraph's done now. For Faker here. And already, like I said, obviously everyone's counting down until Faker hits level 16, but with this spike, especially once his Rod of Ages actually fully stacks up, he is going to already be very difficult to deal with.
Oh yeah.
And there is no exhaust available. There is, of course, a spellbook, so Kana can opt into that if he does see an opportunity, but there's a lot of damage here from T1, and that is something that I would be a little bit scared of. Anyone who mispositions on T1, barring Faker, or perhaps Owner, but even in his case it's a bit conditional, dies instantly. As we might get an example of that right here.
Yeah. Still, he is going to get polymorphed. Now Zeus not looking too scared whatsoever of Kellen and Canyon. As, yeah, the collapse is coming in. Deft walks towards a ward, does walk away from it immediately afterwards as Faker. Sounds like he's still in his Zhonya's. Doesn't even have that built just yet, as it's a broken stopwatch. Is now Extendo Beam very defensively here from D+ Kia, and I'm still just not seeing where their way back in is.
Well, it's someone on T1, or multiple people, getting caught by a big Ornn ultimate, right? But as I mentioned, Zeus has been playing impeccable thus far. Had a couple of rough games, I think, throughout the season, but Jace obviously his most iconic champion. And thus far, seems to be doing very well, and with Flash available, should generally be fine. And the same can be said, honestly, for Faker, Owner, and even Keria. Kalista does have a lot of mobility, and the only member that is mobile is Kuma, but he has a Kalista ultimate, which is still something that I wasn't really... I should have been prepared for, because again, Keria has been playing this as, ooh, maybe can catch Faker off guard here with a Realm Warp.
Alright, well, Realm Warp is at least on cooldown for a couple of seconds. He uses it to turn immediately onto Showmaker. As with a broken stopwatch, maybe this is an opportunity. The Wild Growth comes in, Deft chasing after him. Can Faker get away is the question, and the answer is no. Deft picks up the kill as T1 will destroy their base in answer.
And it is still an incredibly favorable trade because, crucially, D+ can't turn this into a Baron. If you get Faker there and you see a Baron angle, then it might be worth it. But now you kill Faker, you get a shutdown onto Deft. Sure, that's nice, but you also gave up the last remaining turrets that you had on the bottom half of the map. Yeah. You don't have your inner mid, you don't have an outer or an inner on bot lane. Zeus is going to have a monstrous back now as well, which means that any play that you'll have that doesn't immediately involve dealing with Jace is going to be a problem. It's really cute there from Showmaker, trying to fake the Realm Warp so that Faker paths towards him and doesn't actually end up taking it because Deft is already there. For Faker, yeah, not really a way out here. Doesn't really have the turn potential either. Ton of gold, 600 gold shutdown. Or I'm not sure if it was 600, but at the very least, 600 gold going into the pocket of Deft right there.
Yeah, so 300 gold shut down. And now he goes back, wants to put together, could be his Infinity Edge as the next item, is once again the Aura of God for all to hear, as Faker, level 14 now, because his Rod of Ages did come through.
And there is still...
This ward has survived for a really long time, by the way. A lot of high value.
Still a lot of value here in the Ornn pick as Kana starts to level up more and more, but because he's been forced to group with his team because they desperately need to contest stuff. But by grouping with your team, Kana's not getting any experience as a result, and that is really going to delay the introduction of possible ornaments. And I don't see a great way for you to...
Every Shock Blast is terrifying, and I like that Jonah Strong is making sure that he puts the fear into us every time one of them flies forward, as
they know.
Continued ward value, as finally it will be discovered. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
And he doesn't even have Cerillas done yet.
Oh my goodness. Callan is gonna... Can I have some honey fruit, please? 7 seconds on this Ocean Soul, though, and D+ Kia. How are they supposed to do anything about it is kind of the question. Shock Blast soaked by Canna.
Nice.
And it looks like they might be able to group up to at least get up to halfway across the map.
Shirelias.
Yeah, okay. Deft's going to chase after Keria. They do get the flash out. as the Pierce was unavailable. 400 stacks for Gumayusi on this Draven. The Blue Blades, as Papa coined many moons ago. See whether the cash-in's going to happen. Faker on a beautiful flank. Canyon moving towards the Drake. Can they secure it is the question as Faker moves in. All right, here we go. The Ornhorn going to come through. It's going to get denied as now he tries to get back, but it's actually the Rend that locks down the Ocean Soul. But still, the Sejuani going to go down low. But look at the Kassadin damage. It is absurd. And this game, ladies and gentlemen, I think is just over. It's going to be the Quadra kill. Or was it? I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't matter. This game is over. T1 will take another 2-1 and claim the place as the only undefeated team here in the LCK.
And I'm pretty sure that it was actually Carrier's knock-up that set up for Faker there.
Not the Rend?
Bro, what the knock-up from throwing Guma into multiple people, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at it here, because with the Rend being set up here, Canyon can't quite go or try and go for the steal. Really nice cancel there from Owner on Kana. And then here, it's actually looking winnable, right? Look at this.
Oh,
it actually is!
Four-man knock-up from a Gumayusi face call from Carrier after he secures the Ocean Soul with a Rend as support Kalista.
I want to reiterate, this is one of the best supports in the world. This is one of the best teams in the world.
No, I think it is the best support in the world. It's definitely the best support in the world. That is 100% what happened.
Don't try to play support Kalista unless you are in these exact circumstances, because I'm looking at this and it looks broken.
Yeah,
it looks
you guys were worried when the Shy
bonkers.
was playing top lane Kalista. Well, this is the next.
No, I was worried when he was playing top lane Italy, but this is worse. Oh my god, what an and look as well as right now it's just everyone on T1 fighting on all firing on all cylinders, right? Because you see the big Kassadin damage. Faker, by the way, level 15, isn't even 16 yet. There's just so much
It gets
happening.
worse. It gets worse. That's all right. We'll see. Canna not at level 14 yet, so can't upgrade Deft's shield bow that he would really
look
like.
At that experience bar, it's like 95%. I don't think it matters. Let me be very clear about that, because Deft is still sitting on only 2 items, and at this point, Ocean Soul in the hands of T1. Hard to see D+ come back from this one.
Oh, absolutely. Faker just going to fight Canyon. Of course, feeling pretty happy to do so. Force Pulse. Just to slow him down. This Baron, it's just uncontestable. There's just not a way to do anything about this. As Canyon's at least going to walk towards it, but he's just not going to get there in time. The Sejuani locks it down really nicely, and now the fight is on. Canna in so much trouble, tries to get himself out, does, at least for the moment. Can he get some knockups? The answer's yes, but does it matter? The answer's absolutely not. As Shock Blaster comes through, Canyon trying to dash his way out. Faker has about 1 trillion dashes available to himself. The Ornn goes down first, is now Deft, trying to get damage where he can. But Jace has already managed to take down yet another target. Deft is just being forgotten as he pushes down this lane. T1, they are turning towards the one open avenue to a game victory. And you like to see it. Eyes on the prize as Canyon just chased all the way to his fountain. He may not even be able to do that, as now Deft is bearing down the wrong direction here towards T1, who are just taking all of his stuff. Oh, Showmaker just thrown into the blender. Speaking of which, Gumayusi now under the turret. He's going to die, but so is Deft. And the game is now done. T1 will wrap it up 2-1.